Hey, welcome to another edition of Inquiring Minds. I'm your host, Steve Harper. With me, as always, is my amazing co host, Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Looking forward to this conversation.
Me
How are
too.
you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited about today's conversation as well. So, what are we going to be talking about?
So, I was thinking about this for a while. No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow your progress is, you're still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying, hasn't started, hasn't, dived in, any of that. And I think we're so tough on ourselves that it's taking so long to do something or to get something in
Yep.
action. You're still doing and you're still getting it done. Are you paying attention and giving yourself credit for that?
Well, that's a good point. I think that I'm curious. You said you've been thinking about this one for a while. So, what sort of stimulated this is the topic for today? Was there a situation with a coaching client or something maybe you're experiencing that made you think about this would be a perfect topic? And it is, by the way. I'm just curious about what inspired this.
I hear, am I doing enough? And it's not fast enough. And, I stopped for a moment and thought, you're doing something. That's more than people who talk about doing something and don't do something. Things don't happen at the speed of light in real life.
Right, right.
One of my clients was talking about she just wants to soar. So I said, like, when you watch the Olympics and racing and whatever, and high jump, whatever the sport, they take a bunch of steps before they soar and
Yeah,
they do the long jump or whatever else. They don't just jump. It doesn't work like that. You need the momentum, you need that foundational piece.
yeah.
And, I find too many people drop what they're doing because it's taking too long. And I'm just going to throw my hands up and give up.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I just had a conversation earlier this week with a coaching client that, we were talking about the process of giving up and how, every book he reads is like you're right there, and most people give up right as they're about to make the legitimate progress. So it's kind of interesting that this is coming up. I find it's interesting that they are impatient and they're looking for some sort of acceleration to their progress to feel like they actually are making that meaningful progress. I find for a lot of the folks that I work with, they throw up their hands because they're like, I've done everything I can do, and it's just not working, right? So it's kind of almost the opposite in a lot of ways, and yet you could go at this from both of those situations with the same measure of coaching, which is you are making progress. You're doing things that nobody else is right now at this moment doing. You are making headway in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and that should be celebrated, or at least understood that you're making that progress. May not be at the pace you want, or maybe you feel like you've done everything you can, but there's always something else you can be doing. I find it really intriguing because I think that it comes back to a topic that we've had in a number of our conversations, which is that self doubt. For your folks, it's like, yeah, I'm just not going at the speed that I need to, and for my folks, it's like, well, I've just exhausted all my all my options. I don't know what else to do. And so it's kind of it's interesting because at the end of the day, you have to get them back on track to recognize, hey, keep putting that one foot in front of the other. Keep making those measured steps in order to continue to experience that forward momentum that you need in order to achieve whatever it is that you've set out for.
Because it's movement.
Right.
You may not get it all done in one fell swoop. You'll get some of it done. And even that some of it will have impact. The other thing is, I hate to say words like don't do this. I'm going to say don't do this. Don't wait until you have the perfect product. Don't wait until you have the perfect process. Test the waters. Google used to do this a lot in the olden days, kind of thing. They used to do beta testing,
Yeah.
and they would send something out, to the public, say, okay, this is in beta test. Let us know what
Expect it to
works,
be
what.
broken or have bugs or whatever. Yeah.
That's right. And your feedback will help us accelerate what we do. So one of the things is, you make mistakes, you learn from them. It's like, failure is not failure if you learn and you do something differently.
Yeah.
Failure is failure when you keep repeating the same thing and keep failing. That is failure. Otherwise,
Yes.
it's a learning experience. It's the same thing here. Just recognize you're way ahead of anybody who just doesn't start because they've talked themselves out of it to start off with. Never mind, didn't persevere and continue with it. Consult people. You can't figure out a way forward? Get a business coach to help you with different perspectives and to literally remove roadblocks. You let go, you give up, then you'll never know what you could succeed with.
That's right. Well, it's interesting because I think at the end of the day, it comes down to that sort of mindset that uh, they're not wherever they're at right now is not good enough, and they have to sort of have that mindset reset a little bit in the fact that you have to celebrate what you've done up to this point, and everything that you've done has informed where you are right now. To your point in the whole topic, which is significantly ahead of everybody else who is, either still at the start, the starting line, or hadn't even thought about getting onto the track, right? So that has to be celebrated. And I do think, to your point, right, if you do encounter those levels of frustration, either because you think you've tried everything or because you're not going at the speed or at the pace that you think you should be, you do need that outside intervention for
Yeah.
someone to help you gain that perspective of the progress that you have made, celebrating those things as you go, and pointing out the progress that you legitimately have made and how significant that is in terms of the overall outcome that you're trying to achieve. I think it's interesting because I think you've got to have occasionally somebody that shakes you up a little bit and kind of says, "Look, are you crazy? Look what you've done up to this point." And let's just take a mental reset here and see in comparison to where your colleagues are, or where any other startups might be, or wherever someone is, in their approach to building your similar product or service. Look how far you've come, and you need to look at these and celebrate these successes along the way. You may not be completely at the end of the journey, but that's part of the process. Is you should be able to be in a situation where you can enjoy that journey, and those little milestone moments, those little victories that you get an opportunity to celebrate, those actually 5 years from now, once you're done with whatever it is that you're done, those will actually be the things that stand out, probably even more than achieving whatever it is that you set out to achieve.
Exactly right. And you know what? A lot of people just talk about, we need to change this, we need to change that. Okay, so what can we do? Oh, I can't make a dent in that. They talk themselves out of doing something.
Yeah.
When you start on something and you're actually making progress, it might not be as fast as you want, but you're making progress. Look at how you can accelerate, who you could consult, all of this kind of stuff. Yes, but understand that your engagement, your energy, your attention to this is already progress.
Yes. Yes. So, just out of curiosity, for someone that's sitting and listening to this, or maybe watching us on YouTube or Facebook, and they're thinking about, well, I don't have a coach, or I don't have that close confidant that I could rely on to remind me in these moments of self doubt and conflict. Do you have a suggestion or two that you might offer up to that person to recognize when they're starting down that sort of negative path, to get back on track, review and look back at what they have done, and then allow that sort of milestone moment to kind of buoy you into what happens next?
I think part of it is asking yourself, why did I embark on this in the first place? Why was it important enough that I took time, attention, money, energy, blanks you want to fill in with that, in order to do something about this?
Yeah.
Why did I think that this would be a successful endeavor? And if you still feel the energy and the rationale and the passion behind why you started in the first place, the second question is, what is missing for me? So it could be specific information, knowledge, something like that, where you could go on the net and you could do some research. There's tons of research out there that's available to you that's free
Yep.
of charge. And then you could say, okay, these pieces are still missing. If I did the usual um, approach to solving this, then my solution is not going to be any different than what's already out there.
Yeah.
So then start looking for innovators. Start posting in social media, and I'm not talking about Facebook for that matter. I'm talking about LinkedIn, for example. Do some polling, ask a question out to a specific environment or like interest group that you're a part of to say, I'm looking at people's perspectives on this. How do you view this? And based on what you're going to get back, you're going to see what are the trends, what are people thinking, what is missing for them, and if you could solve it, what would that mean to them? And that is the greatest thing that you could do, because it's a way to get yourself unstuck.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. I think that you could really. I mean, you're putting your energy towards sort of helping re-educate yourself and sort of reignite that flame about whatever the original idea was by taking that feedback from outside sources and sort of comparing it to where you are and where you're going to go. And that question about, why did you get into this in the first place? Why did you
Yeah,
start down this path? You need those
it was
reminders from
important to you.
sometimes. What's that?
That's right. It was important to you for some
Yes.
reason. Or it was an idea that you thought had a lot of merit. So honor it.
Yeah.
Honor yourself and the attention that you gave to it. And that's all you need to do.
And I would say too, and recognize that if you feel like you are losing a little bit of that momentum or you run into these moments of self-doubt, that's totally normal. We all go through that. We all run into these situations, and have confidence in yourself to know that you saw something that somebody else didn't, or you are that much further ahead than somebody who might be trying to compete with you. And at the end of the day, celebrate you in your part in this idea or this execution or the development of whatever this might be, because when you can sort of give yourself the little pat on the back and a little bit of self-motivation and self-talk, that has a lot of positive impact to helping you carry that momentum forward as well, especially through those moments of crisis of crisis of confidence and self doubt. So I think those are opportunities to also sort of get you back on the track and refocused. And
Yeah,
like you
for
said, I
sure.
think at the end of the day is ask yourself that question: how much further ahead than am I than everybody else? That alone just kind of gets the juices flowing.
That's it. And again, if I approach this like everyone else, we're going to be dealing with the same status quo.
Yeah.
And the reason why I went into this is because change is necessary, or filling in this gap is necessary. And that is what's huge, and I think would be the way to light a fire back inside you.
Yep, I love that. And what a perfect imagery that we hope that everyone takes away from this conversation. These things always inspire and motivate us. That's why we have these conversations every week, and we're certainly grateful for the time and the opportunity. I am curious what our audience takes away from this one. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd like to hear your perspective. We'd like to hear what you do to kind of get yourself re-motivated, re-inspired when you find yourself struggling a little bit to, make that next forward progress. And how you celebrate when you recognize, hey, I am further ahead than everybody else. So we'd love to hear from you as to your perspectives there. So Donna, how can people get involved, share their ideas, their feedback and comments with us on this episode and any other episodes?
So first of all, join our Facebook group. because that's a great way to share your perspective. What did you do with this talk? We'd love to hear how you persevered, what got you to persevere, and what you succeeded on. That would be fantastic.
Yep.
It's also a great way for you to let us know what you'd like us to discuss. So it's Inquiring Minds with Donna Carlin and Steve Harper. Subscribe to our YouTube group. There's ways for you to comment there and we'll answer you. And through our websites, Steve's at ripplecentral.com and I'm at donnacarlin.com, Carlin with a K. And we'd love to hear from you. So reach out and join the conversation.
Absolutely. We'd love that. Well, Donna, this has been another great conversation. We really appreciate it. I am looking forward to, our next episode and our next conversation. But until then, I want you to have a fantastic day and don't get stuck. Keep moving forward.
You too.
All
Have a
right.
good
You too. Bye bye.
Goodbye.